And I sat down with David, and he's as we've said before, he's the Wakefield Veterans agent. And I asked him to tell me a little bit about his job, what he does, and I had a vague idea what veterans benefits might be, but he really alerted me to what's going on. And I know we've got, in this room, we've got veterans from World War II, Korea, Vietnam. I don't know if we have any Desert Storm people here, but you may have family or members that have been in some of these wars that have been ongoing for 20 years. But David is here to tell us about what he does as a veterans agent. But he also shared with me his military experience. And I was really delighted to hear what he had to say, because I'm a Navy guy and he's in the Air Force. And I don't know too much about these. But this is a pretty special plane that he's going to tell us about. And I asked him if he could tell us something about that too. And so with that, I'm delighted to have David. I'm going to appreciate you coming up here.
My pleasure, Mark.
And tell us a little bit about what's going on with you.
I will.
Thank you. You all set with the PowerPoint?
Yes, all set with that. Thank you. And thank you very much for inviting me here today, folks. For almost 15 years, I did not talk about Vietnam. I was very quiet about it. A lot of it as a result of the welcome home we did not get. We couldn't wear our uniforms home. They threw things at us. I'm sure all of you have heard the stories about what Vietnam veterans went through. But at one point, I decided, I did lose 3 of my good friends from my neighborhood, that I'm not going to let their memory be forgotten. And as a matter of fact, the wall in Washington, D.C., this past June was the first time I've been there. I put it off, but I built up the courage to go and find Mikey, my best friend, who this PowerPoint is dedicated to. We were supposed to meet in Saigon and go to an R&R to Australia, but he got killed the second week we were there. Now, I was in the Air Force, yes, and a lot of people say, oh, Air Force, you weren't really in the war. Well, guess what? There was a secret war going out of Thailand. And this plane, the F-105 Thunder Chief, was the workhorse of that war. We lost 347 of those out of an inventory of over 800, not all the same country at the time. Thailand, the king of Thailand, was born in the Mount Auburn Hospital in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Well, I didn't know that. My houseboy in the barracks told me. As a matter of fact, after he asked me where I was from, I said Cambridge, Massachusetts. He got down and bowed in front of me. I said, Nitnoy, what are you doing? Get up. Oh, same king, same king. What are you talking about? So I did some research, and I found that King Bhumibol, who's passed away now 3 or 4 years, was born in the Mount Auburn Hospital when his parents were going to school here in Cambridge at Harvard University. So right away, the whole town knew about it, that I was from the same place the king was from. So now I had to humble myself, and they love humility even more, the Thai people. They're wonderful. But in the process of being in Thailand, which was on the border of, I was stationed on the border of Cambodia and Laos at a base called NKP. It was a secret war back then. We weren't even supposed to be there. As a matter of fact, when President Johnson got on the television and said to the people, there are no nuclear weapons in Vietnam, we had them in Thailand. And that was the delivery source. The Red Chinese knew we had those in Thailand. That's why they didn't come down with the 1 million-man army and wipe us out in 3 weeks, which they could have done. Now, we moved the bombs around to different bases, to Karat, to Tak Lee, to NKP. You always knew they were coming to your base as a maneuver we did just to move them around, because the U-2 would land first. And I was a wing walker on that when I did end-of-runway crew, because the wings were so far out, they were out of balance. But a lot of spy missions went on out of Cambodia, and we weren't even supposed to be near Laos, but we actually bombed the living hell out of them in Laos. Over 20,000 missions we did. And that plane could travel twice the speed of sound. There's a F model, which I've flown in, which is a 2-seater, and it was designed for electronic countermeasure. And what would happen is we were losing all these planes because they could spot on, find us, and shoot rocket surface-to-air missiles up at us and shoot us down. Well, EastPac came about, and we were able to jam their frequencies. As a matter of fact, when we went into battle with maybe 10 of those and a couple of F-4s and a B-66, which is an electronic countermeasure airplane, we'd go in, and they would jam they would look as though there were 300 airplanes. So they couldn't figure out which one was the actual airplane. So they were throwing up rockets left and right, and just hoping they would hit one, which they didn't. My first experience up on an F-105, I was in a very depressed time. Mikey had just gotten killed. I found out that in the Stars and Stripes, a newspaper they had there at the time. And I was reading it, and I couldn't believe I saw his name there. My grandmother, who was a good friend of mine, passed away They wouldn't let me to come home. She was my best friend. I used to take her shopping at the Star Market. I'd shovel her walkways. I'd take her barrels out every week, and I'd hear all the stories about the early 1900s. And then my wife left me, my first high school sweetheart, my wife. She took off to Canada with her boss. And the interesting thing about that was, we were writing every day. I mean, I would write 10 pages of anything just to write to her. And I'd get a letter back with smells like perfume and everything was nice. It kept me on the base rather than going downtown and getting into trouble. But no mail came in for 2 weeks. And we didn't really have telephone service there. So we had an AFTN radio station in a trailer. And a friend of mine was the operator. And he said, Dave, why don't you call home on the ham radio I have at the trailer? You can do that. I said, okay. So I worked the 6 o'clock at night to 6 in the morning shifts in the heat of Thailand, which I can't even describe to you, except if you had a T-shirt on, it was like wearing a sweater in the hottest day of August. And you'll see in some of the photographs I'm going to show you what it was like there. But so I called home, and different kind of ring, and he said, you have to say over when you finish talking, because this is a radio. Make sure they get the same information. So her sister, Leisha, answered the phone. She goes, hello. I said, Leisha, this is Dave. I'm calling you from Cambodia on the border of Thailand. I said, I haven't got any mail from Maria, and I'm worried. Is she okay? Is she get an accident? What's going on? Over. And when I finish talking, I'm going to say over. And you need to say over, too, because I'm on a radio. Do you understand that? Over. There's all this static. Oh, I say over after I talk? Over like that? Over? I said, yes, just like that. Over. She says, well, Dave, she went to Canada with her boss, and it's over. At that point, I was losing it, and I crewed 3 of these planes at one time. Fortunately enough, I was a staff sergeant at 19 years old. I aced the exam. I went to the Air Force with a stripe because I was in Civil Air Patrol after I got in trouble stealing cars with Mikey. And they gave us a choice. Either you go to Civil Air Patrol or you go to jail. Well, reform school back then. But I went to Civil Air Patrol in Boston in the Fargo building on Summer Street, and I became an officer there. And I didn't know, but when I got to basic training, my DI walks up to me with a stripe and said, here, sew this on. You've already got yours. I said, what? Yeah, you were in Civil Air Patrol. Okay, not a problem. Until, of course, we all got our heads shaved, and he says, if I'm not here, Airman Mangan's in charge. So everyone got their heads shaved. I'll never forget that because the kids are all crying, oh, I like my long hair, my hippie days, 1768. So I said, well, you can wear your hat to bed at night. Your hair will grow back faster. What do you mean? I said, well, it's like grass. It needs light to grow, blah, blah, blah. I was giving him a bunch of crap. So next morning, the DI is coming down the hallway, banging on doors. Rise and shine, you bunch of panty waste. Get up. Why are you all wearing your hats? Sir, Airman Mangan told us our hair would grow back faster if we wore our hats to bed at night. He comes into my room and he says, you're going to work out fine. But they were very convincing back then, and we went through a lot of hell. The basic training in the Air Force is very similar to the others, except for the big logs. We didn't have to lift those. But my first duty station was in Laughlin Air Force Base on the Mexican border, Ciudad Acuña. And it was great. They trained me to fight in the jungle in the desert. What the hell's wrong there? But it turned out I aced the exam, and they sent me to tech school on F-105s out of Shaw Air Force Base. I worked on the F-111s, went to tech school down in Tyndall in Florida, the F-4 Phantom, the B-66, the F-5, the T-37, N-38, the list goes on. But all my classes, the first one was the initial one, which was 8 weeks, 6, 7, 8 hours a day in training for that. And then you went to the specialty courses around the country. And I figured I wouldn't go to Vietnam because I went in the Air Force. My brother did 2 tours in Vietnam and sent me a letter and says, go in the Navy or the Air Force. You won't end up over here. You'll die over here. Okay, whatever. So I went to the Air Force. But long story longer, Michael and I, the group of us in our neighborhood, when there were 6 of us and 3 of us came back. And it messed me up the first couple of years. I was on drugs by the time I came back. I actually think it was normal to faint every time you smoked a joint. I had a T-lock over this so I wouldn't get any STDs because it was getting really bad. There's a thing called black syphilis that if you got it, you went to the Philippines and you'd die there and your family would be missing in action. They couldn't cure it. They didn't want to bring it back to this country. And it was a horrible disease. So I went down one day, my friend from New York said, Dave, pick out one of these girls. They're great. It's only going to cost you, it's concubine, like in Japan. So for $45, I get to get a girl, and has a bungalow. She'll cook and clean, and there's no running water in the bungalow. It's a bomb site to go to the bathroom in, with a big urn under the building, and you'll see the bungalow here. But I couldn't do it. I looked at the girls. I said, I just can't do this. This is not my Christian way. I can't do it. I just behave myself, I guess. And I started walking away, and this one girl comes up to me. She taps me on the shoulder. You, David, you Mangan son, from same place, King. I have chicken. You have fresh eggs every day. You have a chicken? Oh, in that case, I'll take that one there. But she was great. She taught me to speak Thai, which I speak to this day. I taught her English, of course. She'd clean my 45 and roll my joints and pour my scotch. What more could a guy ask for at 19 years old in a war zone? But that being said, and after the PowerPoint, I'll explain what my job is as a VSO for the town of Wakefield. And we have a lot of veterans here. Raise your hand, please. There you go. And I already gave the Vietnam veterans a copy of the book we have right now. It's A Time to Honor. It's a 50th year commemorative. It's a really good book. If you have friends or family in Wakefield that were in Vietnam, please stop by my office. I have another case of them I can give out to you, okay? And Korean War veterans, any in the room right now? If you have family members who have passed, that were boots on the ground in Korea from 1950 to 53, there's an award called the Ambassador for Peace Medal, which the family can get as a result of their service. Okay, so come and see me for that. We can apply for that with a DD-214, which I can pull up on my military records online program. Okay, and that being said, let's get this thing done. It's about 10 minutes, I think. So, and you can read this here. There's music that goes to this, but I shut it off. It's all kid music. But as it says here, it was a secret war going on. And neutral Laos and the sanctuaries in Cambodia against the heavily protected Ho Chi Minh Trail, which ran through that area. Secrecy was very strict. We weren't even allowed a lot of our medals. That's me, by the way, up there, skinny little 165 kid. But as it says here, you can read it. And as usual, it was the media who will kill you before anybody else. They steal your honor. And those medals I have there, I didn't even know I had some of them until my father brought my daughters to the PX in Hanscom Field, and they were doing a surprise medal thing they were going to put together for me. These are my pilots here. That's Captain DeYoung on the end. There you go. For my first Christmas there. Christmas cards. And their uniforms changed. We're under attack here. And my line says, get your rifle, put the camera down. This is the after effects of one of the nights we got rocketed in the revetments. We lost 2 planes that day and 6 guys. The after effects. Fast aircraft, I'll tell you, nothing like it. When you go on the speed of sound, you don't hear anything, by the way. Total silence except for the liquid oxygen converter. You hear that hissing. That's a 20 millimeter Vulcan cannon I'm loading up. It was like a Gatling gun is what it was. And when it did get shot, we have a tracer bullet. Every 7th bullet was a dummy bullet. It would send out that's our perimeter guard. One of the booths, we had turrets as well around the outside of the base. And even though Air Force, we still had to do perimeter guard. We didn't have enough Marines at our base, so once a month, each of the airmen had to do a perimeter guard duty. That's one of my partners there. That's the 2-seater there, as you can see. That's a Merv rack. They're actually 700-pound bombs, I believe. They're not 250s. I made them 500-pounders. These are extenders here. What was happening is, well, we were bombing them in the rice paddies, but the bombs were just puffing. Nothing was happening. So we put these extenders on the bombs, so when they went in the ground, it would blow up above it, and it would do its job. These are revetments here that kept each of the planes secure in that one area. There's steel and concrete. There's a whole group of them there. That's 2 rows there we have. These were my 3 birds here. And that's Cambodia and Laos in the distance. That's a B-66. Mitchell, that's a, needed a ladder to get in these planes. That's how big they were. They had a drag chute parachute to slow it down when it landed. That's me. That's where I got my PTSD, getting inside those little chambers to check for loose rivets. There you go, yours truly. You worked on a plane, you had to take that thing off because it could go to electrical part and become a piece of, like a toaster. These are the guys from '67. All these photos aren't mine. 80% of them are. I was a photographer before I got drafted. I had a full scholarship to the Rochester School of Photography, but I couldn't, it wouldn't get me out of the war. In 1968, there was no lottery system. I graduated Cambridge Latin in '68, and within 3 months I was in the military. They were going to come and get me out of my camera store I was working at. Now those are the 500-pounders there. So. I took some of the photos. I did not take this one here. This I took. And no plane left without bombs on it, and no plane landed with bombs. So we're going up, and I could hear him, the pilot talking to the pilot beside us, and he took it out of afterburner as soon as we took off, and I thought the engine failed. I had an egress training before all that. And he says, no, relax. I just took it out of afterburner. Okay, fine. Now, the fuel is so heavy in these aircrafts, and you can't load bombs. You can't have full loads of fuel. It just won't get off the ground. So you had about 50% tanks full with fuel. I could hear him talking to the boom operator in the KC-135, and I said, sir, where's the 135? I got my G suit on and my helmet, and I'm, being a 19-year-old kid having the time of his life. And I looked up, and all of a sudden I could see the aft section of the plane. Out comes the IFR probe. He hooks up. The JP-4 goes across the canopy, a little splash. And he filled up. I'm watching the gauges go like this. Full, ready to go. Bang. Now, I didn't take this one either. I wish I did. My plane has done this. When I was in, we had to get rid of our bombs. So I said, sir, where are you going to get rid of these? He goes, same place I was yesterday on the trail. So we flew down to the trail, 100 feet off the deck, dropped them. I saw the lights come on, looked back, saw the mess. Yeah, these are GAM-76 missiles right here. Those solved the problem. We had the MiG-17 over there. That was the North version of their fighter aircraft. And it could outmaneuver this plane very easily. This plane is so fast and big that it couldn't turn quick. And at an ops meeting one day, Base Commander Colonel Bottomley says, we got a problem. They're shooting down our planes left and right. What can we do? And myself and another guy from weapons, I said, sir, you ever see a sparrow chase a crow? Well, yeah, what about it? Get to the point. And I said, well, sir, the crow can't turn too fast because he'll break his wing. And the sparrow badgers them. They do all the time. I said, why don't we put a GAM-76, which is around the base. We don't even use them. They never attack our base with airplanes. Put it in the pylon, take it up, and now we have a heat seeker tip on it. It'll chase the MiG. He says to the weapons guy, can we do that? This is downtown in Tockley. This is another attack. He said, can we do that? He goes, yeah, we can do that. Well, let's do it. And we stopped losing as many planes. Worked out pretty good. These are SAMLAs. This is what the girls in the bars will give you. And their shot record is in the back, supposedly. They have all their Thai kickboxing. This guy here, I think, ends up getting his skull fractured right there, yeah. They were betting $10, $15, which is a lot of money over there. It's called BOT, the nickel exchange. Here's one of the older bungalows. I had a nice one of that. Now, Sony. If I had knew then what I know now, I would have bought Sony stock. This is the clong where they dumped our little urn every other day. This is the barracks after I was there for a while. We have pictures of the tents we had when we first got there. And these Buddhist temples are everywhere. In Thailand, Cambodia, and Laos. They're very religious people, strict on Buddha. As a matter of fact, I did some research on Hindu Buddhism, and I was very impressed with it. This is an off-limits area known as the Lumberyard. We'd lose 1 or 2 GIs a week in that place. This is it's a clothing store in the daytime, but at night it's a bar. You could get anything you wanted there. And guys were buying Crossroads of Speed. This is my monkey, Ling Ling. You could buy Crossroads of Speed. A lot of the pilots were speeding out because they were just hyped. And you want to stay awake as long as you can. You're working 12-hour shifts. Not everybody, but the majority of the guys over there. And I was there. I know that they were a lot more guys doing it than I thought. This is in Bangkok. That's the King's Palace. The sad part about it is all the gold that's there around. This is the old palace up in Chiang Mai. The gold is everywhere. but there's all poverty around the outside of the palace. It's terrible. Anybody here ever been to Thailand? Sawadee-ka. You've been there then. You've seen all this, yeah. This was 50 years ago I took these pictures. It's changed a lot since then. This is the river, the bungalows. You never know who was in these little boats either. I mean, they could be transferring weapons. Water buffalo pizza, good stuff. I had it once. Is this thing of beef over here? No, it's water buffalo. But they have beautiful, majestic, this is a staircase. It's the same thing on the other side going down. At Boston College, we have a staircase like that. Now we tell the kids, that's O'Neill's staircase. But you never knew what was going on in these bungalows. These are arts and craft people. And this guy would tow them up to the next village, drop them off, and pick up another group. And all these people would sell their wares, be it hand carvings, which is a lot of hand carving in town. It makes suits and shirts and jewelry. But in the middle of nowhere, you got a Buddhist temple. They're everywhere. This is on the Mekong River. These are gunboats outside of NKP, river rats. Now there's a 1,000-pounder, right? That bad boy right there do some damage. You can see the size of this airplane. There's a rat wagon. These are like beef jerky. For 5 cents each, you get one. All dried out. That's a rice bug. That's a quarter up there. All right? Those rice bugs would come at night when we had our light alls on, because when they breed, they look for that green phosphorus in the rice paddy, like the green a firefly makes. Well, those rice bugs make the same thing. That's when we first got there. And the rice bugs make the same thing. And so you're looking down, and there's a big green spot in the water. They would all dive down, they'd breed, and that'd be the end of it. Okay? Until the first night they came on the tarmac on us, and I was a new guy. I'm with my friends from Mississippi, and we're closing up panels. And the guys that had been there a while saw a couple of these fall on the tarmac. Hey, you guys close up these panels. We'll be back in a few minutes. We're going to get a cup of coffee. So off they went, and my friend was doing the liquid oxygen. He goes, man, I hate this place, the snakes and the bugs, the heat. I hate it here. Next thing you know, we got inundated, like in the Mummy movie with those beetles. Thousands. You couldn't even see the tarmac. It was like water, because they can't just fly again. They have to do a special dance. And we jumped in the back of the engine, in the afterburner section of the plane. And these guys come out with a trash bag and a broom, and they're sweeping them into the bag. Guy goes, well, I'll get something tonight. I said, what are you talking about? They eat these. They're like lobsters. And their bags are making all these weird noises. I said, you've got to be kidding me. What kind of a place am I in here? I got downtown. I finally met Jai and got to staying with her. She goes, oh, king cow, eat these. They're very good, very good. They boil them like lobsters in a colander, take them out, they crack their heads off, they press the belly. You try, king cow. I said, I don't know about this. All right, I'll try one. Why not? You're in the country, try it. Tastes like bananas, like baby food, the banana baby food, only warm because you steamed it, right? They're delicious. I had a pile of shells. My buddy goes, you've been here too long, man, and you got to get out of here. But yeah, it was something it's going to stay with me the rest of my life. I know it is, and there are some good memories and bad memories. I think the most exciting memory I had was when one night, 3 o'clock in the morning, Captain DeYoung comes out, my pilot, on his mini bike. They come out to the tarmac with the mini bikes. And he had a case of beer on the mini bike. He goes, sir, Sergeant, my plane going to be ready at 6 o'clock? I said, sir, I put up the aft section on, I take out the trim pad, get the engine trimmed. I got weapons coming out at 4:30. They're going to load you up. You'll be all set. Well, here's a case of beer for you boys. He puts it on the bench. Wow, ice cold beer. Thank you, sir. He starts to pull away. I said, sir, wait. He says, what? I says, we don't have a can open. He goes, you're mechanics. You'll figure it out. We took screwdrivers at that point and just soaked each other in beer. So that was my time in Vietnam and town. Most of my tour was in Thailand, but I was back and forth to a base called Da Nang in southern Vietnam, which wasn't really as bad as people thought it might be. At first it was in the early 60s, it was, but we reinforced the whole area better. And the explosions, yeah, they still haunt me. As a matter of fact, when after my wife passed away, I was in this big house in Melrose all by myself. My kids were up and gone, and I was going to sell it. I was telling Wendy. And I had my wife to kind of help me out if I got up at 3 o'clock in the morning shaking in cold sweats. But she was gone, so now I had a problem. So I'm down one day, it's Saturday, I was at Lake Quannapowitt, and I rebuild Jaguars as a hobby. It's not like jet planes, so not that hard. But so I had the convertible that day, and my granddaughter, was 7 years old, was with me. And we're going to the swings. We're on there now for a half hour. It's getting busy now. It's getting really crowded. I said, Natalie, let's go, honey. Let's get an ice cream. Papa, it's morning. I said, it's okay. I get you ice cream anytime you want. I'm your grandfather. Okay, so we start to walk to the parking lot. And when I got there was just my car and a couple of stragglers. Now there's two other cars parked like this. It looked like I had two spots. And this guy's pulling up. I say, pal, I'm pulling out. Why don't you go in here? You always take two spots? I says, no, pal. When I got here, there were no cars. Relax, you're going to have the spot. Oh, yeah. So I'm strapping my granddaughter in the back, and I have a veteran plate in the car, and he says, oh, fancy plate, huh? Where were you? I said, I was in Vietnam. He says, why don't you go back? Now I'm saying to myself, this is a test. This is definitely a test. All right. And my granddaughter says, Papa, he's a mean man. I said, I know, sweetheart. You watch how I handle this. She could hear everything. The guy's right there in the car. I walked over, I looked at him, I say, pal, God loves you, Jesus loves you, and today I have to love you. Behave yourself, you're getting this spot. So I get in the car, I drove out peacefully, and my granddaughter says, Papa, how come you were nice to him? She figured I'd be yelling and everything, you know. I said, sweetie, maybe yesterday he found he has cancer. Or maybe his mummy died, and he's angry right now, and he just wants someone to be angry with him. Oh, you're a good man, Papa. I let that go and didn't sleep for a couple of days, and I decided to go down and see the Veteran Service Officer in Melrose, Karen Burke, where I had gone in to apply for my PTSD in the past, and at that point in time, it was a few months later, and Karen said to me, you ever been to the wall? And I said, I haven't, but I'm going to go down soon. I put in for that freedom flight. And she says, well, the Melrose Middle School has a program, a veterans club. Why don't you come with us? I said, well, okay. How do you fly? No, we take a bus. I said, well, how much is it going to cost me? She goes, nothing. You're a veteran. You're the oldest veteran we have, as a matter of fact. And we go to all memorials for 3 days. We did them all. We did Arlington National Cemetery. We did the World War II, the Korean, which was magnificent. If you haven't been there, you need to go there and see it. And the last one we did was the Vietnam Wall. And I knew what panel Mikey was on. He was my closest friend. And Paul Sullivan and Jimmy Cabral. I hung out with my older brothers. But I found Mikey, and of course the skies opened up and it started pouring. Now I'm thinking these 25 middle school kids are all going to scatter to go get out of the rain. And I turned around and looked at them, they were just standing there getting wet. And I flashed back in the perimeter guard we used to do. These guys, kids, looked like my comrades. But I let that go real quick. And I get down on one knee, I get a prayer for everyone. And as soon as I took my hand off the wall, the rain stopped. And Sean McMasters, alderman in Melrose, says, how did you do that? I said, I didn't do that. I says, I don't know what happened there. So I turned and looked, and there's all the kids soaking wet. And I looked at them, I thanked them for the opportunity to have been there today. I says, you've done a great, great gift to me. You've given me a great gift. 50 years ago, now it's real now to me, right now. And I can't thank you enough for that. But you need to do me one more favor. I says, all these 58,000 people have sacrificed their lives so that you can have the education you have. Stay off the drugs. Stay off the alcohols. Don't be competing with each other about being better than the other guy. It isn't that important in this world. I says, do what you can to become the best person you can be. And I turned around, there was 150 people clapping. They all came out of the rain at that point. And Sean said, that was what? Where'd it come from? I says, must have come from them because I don't know where it came from. It wasn't me. But now, to the Vietnam Service Office of the town of Wakefield. That's my job, folks. I've been doing it since June. And when I was offered the job, I was offered a possible interview on the bus coming back that I should go for the job because it's something that they thought I was going to be good at. And I said to myself, you know, I'm going to help as many veterans as I can. They didn't help me when I came back. I didn't know I had the benefits coming. Let me help them. And it started out, a lot of training. I'm still training all the time. There's a lot to be done. But there's a lot of benefits available. I mean, there's spousal benefits that people don't know about. There's burial benefits that people don't know about. Education benefits. As a matter of fact, I have some pamphlets here today. I don't know if I have enough for everybody, but if you think you'd like to take them and look them over for a family veteran that might want to know what benefits they have, it would take another hour for me to discuss all the benefits that we have. But I'm there at your disposal for the community of Wakefield to help them find the right direction. If some of them are becoming indigent, they get very, they're humble. They don't want to say, oh, I'm out of money. I don't have the money anymore. I need some money. How am I going to get it? Well, spouses of certain veterans that do qualify for it, honorable discharges, there's a Chapter 115 that can give them money every month and help them with their rent, their fuel costs, and in some cases their food. If the food bank isn't helping them, which we do, by the way, on Wednesdays. I go to Melrose, and tomorrow I pick up the ones for Wakefield. They all have a bag, and I bring them up to the Senior Center, and they come and pick them up. And it helps them out. It's good food, really good stuff. And then there's education benefits. If anyone needs education benefits, those are available. Housing for people who are homeless, veterans particularly. I had a gentleman from Wakefield, 80 years old, 3 months ago. I've had everything that could go. One person said to me, man, you've had everything happen to you in the time you've been doing this. I said, I know, it's crazy, but I'm learning by doing that. Well, we got this gentleman situated up in Beverly. He was being evicted because the owner of the property wanted his daughter, who's going to have a child, to move in there. And so I got in touch with SAVE. I got in touch with 3 or 4 different locations. And finally, we got him a place in Beverly at the Commons up there. And he's happy. Paul's in great shape now. He's a happy camper. He's got 3 storage bins I didn't know he had. He's also from Stoneham originally. Great guy. But there's also, if you are a veteran and your percentage of disability qualifies you 60% or more, you're not required to pay property tax. There's a lot of benefits like that. There's special plates you can get where the funding goes to the veteran home. It doesn't just go to the state. The veteran plate will go to the veteran's home to help them out there, the homeless. But any questions for me right now? Quiet. Heard a pin.
If you have a hands-on project that you need help with,
Yes.
get in touch with our club.
I certainly will. Thank you. You're the second person in a couple of days. Because I have some veterans who can't drive any longer that need to go to Bedford for their appointments. And they need rides sometimes. And some of them go on the ride, but the ride takes them through Medford and Malden, and they stop for an hour. It takes them 2.5, 3 hours to get to Bedford. When it's a 20-minute ride, you know? So some of the volunteers, I got 2 so far that are drivers. And I will reach out to you, definitely.
If somebody's house needs,
Or someone moving, or a ramp put in, or something like that. Yeah. We actually have right now, I have Doug, this friend of mine from Western Mass. He always sends me emails of things that people, if someone passes away or goes into a nursing home, they offer items for people for free. Like right now we have a brand new chairlift, kind of a chair that gets up for you, that chair right there. So. Yeah.
I just wanted to comment that this is, as you can probably tell from earlier, this is quite a vocal group, but I think through your whole spiel I didn't hear anybody say anything, which is compliments to you.
Well, 3 of them are asleep. I don't know if...
No, I think we were just admiring. We were going to say, I have a gift for you, but...
Oh, nonsense.
of course, I have to counter that. I do have a question about one slide that you had.
Sure.
Was that actually a dogfight with 2 U.S. planes?
That was one F-105 and a MiG-17. But that wasn't me. That was one of my pilots that was involved with it.
That was quite a shot.
We had, it was. I'll tell you, the first time I went up, I couldn't believe it. Like I said, I could hear him talking to the boom operator, and when he disconnected, we got rid of our ordnance, and we're flying around. The other 2 guys' planes went to Karat, and Captain DeYoung said, let's see how high this plane will go. I said, sorry, I think the ceiling is 43 to 50,000 feet up. Oh, it'll go higher than that. He hits the afterburner. He goes straight up. Now, it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm looking around. I'm looking down. I can see the earth spinning like this here, like a corkscrew. And I said, sir, I think we're breaking up. He was over 50,000 feet, easy. The plane almost stalls out, and he goes, Geronimo, and goes straight down. My mask is out to here. I didn't have it tight enough on my helmet, and I'm trying to grab it to fix it. I had the 100% oxygen on, and he comes out of the dive, and I slap myself in the face. I get a bloody nose. He hears the smack, and he starts giggling. We get back to the revetment area. Of course, you got a tow bar back in. And the crew chief puts the ladder up, and he's looking around for bullet holes. He's blood all over me. Now the pilot's down below taking his seat pack off, and I climb down, and he says, "You've been christened." I said, "Thank you very much for that, Cap." He goes, "Come on to the officers club. The guys like you. You're doing a great job." So I get in the back of the pickup truck. We go to the officers club, and I had never been there before. Of course, I'm an NCO, so I said, "You guys got a pool?" He goes, "Yeah, we got a pool, man, We get hot up there in those planes, blah, blah, blah." So I'm walking by the pool. I still got my flight suit on, which I borrowed from the ops building. He pushes me in the water. Now you've been baptized. It actually cooled me off. It was a good. I went inside, and I don't even remember going back to my bunk. We drank so much scotch that day. Yes, sir.
Did you say twice the speed of sound?
It can go that fast. I've been 1.5, Mach 1.5, yeah. Yeah, they'd fly by sometimes. You wouldn't hear them. They'd just go by. Then all the noise would follow them.
So I know when it hits the sound barrier, it will boom.
Yeah, if you do it wrong. It depends on the ambient temperature, too.
Do you hear that in the plane?
No, you don't hear that. You don't hear anything in that plane. It's like a flying saucer would be, if you imagine that.
So how long, what's the range on that? Oh,
2,100 miles.
because you burn a lot of fuel.
Yeah, sometimes less because you're, it's about, I think it's 2,300 miles.
And that's twice the speed of sound.
Yep.
How long would that take?
To go the speed of sound?
No, to go 2,100 miles.
Well, it depends on, like I said, it depends on the mission you have. No, not even that if you're doing it right. But you have to in-flight refuel sometimes coming back from your target. So,
You mentioned that refueling, and I've seen it on the TVs, and I've talked to some people. It's pretty, if you don't get it right, it can be very serious.
yeah, it can be. Yeah, it can be. But they have, on the IFAR probe, there's a spring mechanism for it, but not much. But then the one that's coming down from the KC-135 has little winglets, and that can guide that on. So once it gets in, it hooks up and it locks pretty good. But the plane has to have the same airspeed as the 135. And it's all about instrumentation, reading, and everything else.
So would this plane go from California to Thailand? How many times do you have to refuel it?
No, it would have to stop in Okinawa and Guam, and then probably stop in Hawaii before it can get to California.
It's amazing, you can cross the Pacific in a matter of a few hours.
Well, the fuel ratio is burned quickly. I mean, you can say 20. If you're going just cruising, you can do that much time, miles. But usually it isn't quite that much. I know that much for a fact. But we in-flight refueled twice while I was there in that flight. But I get back and my whole attitude changed. My disposition changed. I stopped writing swears to Ho Chi Minh and the bombs. And Merry Christmas. Our Christmas was before actual Christmas. We celebrated on the 20th because we bombed them on Christmas Day. They figured they wouldn't be getting bombed because it was our Christmas. But hey, surprise, you know. But you know, they were killing our people, and I had the guilt for years. I had a problem with that, you know, because I was as guilty as the guy. I loaded the gun. I'm as guilty as the guy shooting the gun, and that's the way I felt about it after all the guilt people made me feel when I came back. I was very depressed. I went through all that crap, and actually I'm Catholic, but not that it matters really. I went to confession one day here at St. Joe's, and I went in. I had a lot to say. I just told them about Vietnam, basically, in the guild. I figure I'm gonna get 15 rosaries, 200,000 Hail Marys. You know, I'm screwed. So I might as well just bring a bunk in the church, right? So Father Ron looked at me afterwards, and I said, "What's my penance, Father?" He says, "One Hail Mary. You've suffered enough." That's why I went back to church. But that's me. Everyone's on their own journey. But thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you.
And I'm available. I have my business cards too.